Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BuzzStream podcast. My name is Ben Snero, and today I'm joined by Will Waldron, the senior PR strategist with Connective 3. What's up, Will? Thanks for joining.
Morning. Well, morning on your side. It's afternoon on my side. Yes, look, I'm all good. Nice to see you again. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Yeah, Will is in the UK, and I am on the East Coast of the States here. So, little time difference, but we can always meet in the middle to talk about some digital PR stuff.
100%. Yeah, always got time for that. Obviously, we saw each other recently, didn't we, at Brighton as well? So it's nice we're keeping in touch.
Yeah, so I saw Will do a really interesting talk at Brighton SEO, and it was specifically about this interesting challenge, I think, about getting links from publishers who like to put affiliate tracking links onto our coverage that we're trying to get. And to me, this is a very unique problem, but unique to our industry, but it is one that a lot of people run into. And I thought you had some really cool takes on that and some great advice. So I wanted to chat about that. But more broadly, I think we can talk about digital PR and the kind of stuff that you're working on. Connective 3. So let's start. I like to kind of do like an icebreaker sometimes, and I feel like you're a good person to ask this. What's a cool piece of content you've seen out there recently? Can be something that you guys have created. Doesn't have to be. It's just anything that comes to mind.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a few, but because I've kind of been doing PR now for, it's getting on sort of 8 years, just PR specifically. I like the interesting stuff now. So we don't really do stunts as much as we used to. They kind of had a really sort of peak of doing stunts, and then they went through a bit of a lull, but I feel like they're coming back again. So I like seeing PR stunts. There's one recently, no one actually did it. It was a PR consultant that came up with it after Valentine's Day and said this would be a great idea. And I saw it and I thought it would be a great idea. It was basically a collaboration between Nike and Tinder. And basically it created a dating app for Valentine's Day where people select a partner based on trainers, the types of trainers they like. So they call their soulmate, so SOL.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And they created like a full app for it. Yeah, it was just a really cool idea of how two brands could collaborate for like bigger picture, sort of causing a raucous PR, which I really enjoy at the minute. So yeah, that wasn't even actually done, but I saw it and thought it would have been a very good idea.
Yeah. Those kind of like conceptual ones are still super important. And I know I file that kind of stuff away, and just, would you be able to take something like that and like apply that idea to a client of yours? If so, how do you kind of think about that?
I think so. Yeah, I think obviously we're all kind of inspired by things we've seen in the media and other campaigns. I guess it all depends on relevancy, things like that. And of course, with a stunt, we have to remember in PR that a lot of budget is taken up by stunts. They are very sort of time consuming. And the way you sell it into a client almost feels like there's a lot on the line. So if this stunt doesn't deliver, you're putting yourselves under a lot of pressure because a lot of money's been spent, a lot of resource and things like that. So, if you feel that it really is something that's going to give the client a boost and cause a bit of a fuss, and it's very relevant in terms of timing and what's going on in the media, etc., then it's definitely worth sort of having a chat about first, I'd say. But it all depends as well on your client goals. Is it going to, if your focus is solely on digital, is it going to bring back enough links? Is it going to get the visibility up? So lots of factors involved, but I always think now, like I said, just because I've been doing this for quite a long time, I do like a bit of a stunty sort of challenge to get stuck into.
Yeah. Well, it is really interesting with your background in more traditional PR and then moving into the digital, and we'll get into like the affiliate link piece of this, but I want to dig in a little bit to your expertise and experience there, and what are some things that you've taken from the traditional PR realm into the digital PR realm that you are in now?
I think the combination has basically allowed me to, knowledge is at the forefront of it really, but it is meant that whenever I explain or report to client, I kind of have two mindsets. So even though at C3 we are a digital agency, depending on your client, there are some benefits of getting results that aren't specifically just digital.
Hmm.
So, for example, if you're doing a new product launch and you want to create an event for that and you want to use some influencers for that and you want to get it in print media, say if it an interiors brand where imagery is really sort of a sole focus of what they
Hmm.
do, sometimes the print and the more traditional side of PR can be worthwhile to them. So I think it's worth just kind of establishing at the start of any project exactly what the client's goals are from it. If it is literally they just want their digital authority to grow, then obviously the traditional side's not going to be as effective. But if you say have a startup brand or someone that's just really keen to get themselves out there, that traditional side can come in as well. So yeah, and I think just rounded, just general work-based things like being on tough calls and working with sort of global
Hmm.
brands and just sort of the scope of what I can do and the confidence of doing it sort of grown over time, really.
Have you brought a lot of your kind of contacts that you've built over the years? Does that translate over to digital at all?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of, I suppose from the art perspective, our main contacts are journalists. Essentially, that's kind of the bulk of who we need to talk to on a day-to-day basis. So, yeah, not that I kind of stolen a media list from the old agency or anything like that, but you kind of depending on the types of campaigns and things like that that you're doing, or the type of client you have, there's obviously a select number of journalists from the nationals or the high DA publications that a lot of people are targeting. So yeah, over time, you kind of, some of it's just memory. You just kind of, you'll see a campaign or a product or a brand and think, oh, that would be great for this person. But the
Right.
only thing you kind of have to keep tabs on now is the fact that, um, yeah, journalists are kind of moving jobs. A lot of them are changing to be freelancers. Uh, it's a kind of a tough time for them. Departments are being squeezed down, so their job roles are changing and things are moving about. So yeah, it took a lot of contacts and remembered a lot, but it's always a sort of changing on a daily basis thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could totally see how I don't know if we're necessarily feeling it as prominently in the US just because the US is a lot bigger in terms of journalists moving and going freelance, shifting. But I know there are a lot of reports of journalists getting laid off. But um, do you find that pitching to freelance journalists is much different than pitching to journalists that's in house somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, I think it basically adds another step to the process depending on the freelance journalist position. So from sending a pitch to them, as you would to any other journalist, they then have to have a look at it and see not only if which publication, because obviously a lot of freelancers would write for multiple publications, but then they have to then go as the editor of that publication to see if they like
Right.
it. So there's a little bit more of a sign off process.
Yeah.
But like I said, it depends on the freelancer and the position they're in, because some of them are very sort of highly trusted within the publication. So they have a little bit more control than just a normal freelancer would. They can kind of say yes to stories straight away and publish things more so without checking in with editors as much. So yeah, it is different, but I think freelancers, I find, because they have sort of passion areas as well, sort of specified things they like to talk about, you can find the perfect writer for the type of story you're coming up with. If you have something to do with travel that you really want to talk about, you can find the perfect person, which is probably going to freelance that specializes in travel, that's been to that country,
Mhm.
etc. So yeah, it's a nice way of tailoring your search. And obviously, the other option with freelancers as well is there are multiple publications, so you can kind of go to them and think, oh, there's an opportunity to get in various different places here. So yeah, they're worth knowing, and they are always have more time to come meet you in person, because a lot of publications now kind of stop journalists going out as much just because of resource. But yeah, you can meet a freelancer for a brew a little bit easier, which is
Yeah, I mean, that's another funny thing that probably doesn't get done as much in the US just because, again, it's so large. It's like meeting journalists in person. And I promise we'll get to your talk because I do think it's a big part of this, but I'm trying to kind of set the scene for some of these things that, some of these like base digital PR basics. And we're hitting on some really good ones here, like this idea of hitting freelancers versus in-house. I'm going to drill into that a little bit more, just get your expertise. Like I found, when I used to pitch freelancers, it would be exactly what you said, where like you not only have to get through to them and convince them, but then they have to pitch that idea to their editors or whatever. So, do you have any tips for like how to almost like prepare your freelancer to pitch your idea? Like, is it a matter of like, I don't know, giving them a more succinct pitch? Do you pitch freelancers differently in the length of the pitch, or do you give them more assets, less assets? Does that differ at all for you?
I think simplicity is just the absolute key for any journalist, anyone you're sending it to in that perspective. I think, yeah, very obviously, if you're going to a freelancer and it's very, as I mentioned earlier, like a very tailored outlook, like this person would be perfect to cover this. You also, yeah, have to have the mindset that they're also going to have to go to their editor, the person above them. So when you're outlining your pitch, the very sort of simple, top level, unique factors within the content, bullet point it as clearly as possible. I think exclusivity is sometimes good within it as well. So you
Mm.
can kind of, like I said, if you feel this is the perfect person and publication for the story, you can say, we're coming to you first with this, which is always a nice thing. I think if a freelancer goes to their editor, yeah, it's something that they want to hear. And it could be part of something bigger as well. I find that with freelancers, they kind of do a lot of in-depth features that might take a lot of research and maybe a few weeks of work to pull together. So even if you feel like you don't have, say, a full press release or, a full finished article, if you have something that's really relevant to them, and something that you feel like this cover, whether that's expert commentary or just new data or stats or some form of new insight, you can always send that to them as well because they might include it in a bigger body of work. So yeah, it's similar approaches. I don't think I kind of, maybe I subconsciously change a few things in the pitch, but as a rule of thumb, the basics are always there, like very easy to digest, all the information laid out in a simple format. Double checking the structure. If you put any images in, has that messed up the structure of the email? Getting the names right. Obviously, that's the main one in PR that we've all done. We've all done that before. But just, yeah, I think the little details. And then the absolute key point to get their attention is obviously the email subject. They're getting so many emails every day that you need something that's sort of concise, sell the unique nature of the story, but also, there's like 4 words that they're probably going to see. So how can you get something that's in the interest of the freelancer, basically? So I'd normally look at their profile and their Twitter and the recent features they've done, see if there's any terms of phrasing or any words that they use a lot, or just the formatting of a sentence, anything like that that you can try and use in your favor. You can maybe put that in the subject line as well. But yeah, overall, I'd say fairly sort of consistent for freelance and just normal journalists too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's all great advice for sure. So let's pivot a little bit. Obviously this kind of leads into your talk, but getting links and getting coverage is the main goal of a lot of what we do. And in your talk, you talked about why affiliate links are a nightmare for digital PRs. For those that haven't run into this or don't, need more explanation, can you give us a reason why? Why is it such a nightmare when we get affiliate links?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, yeah. So the talk is basically, it's a kind of summary of the problems affiliate links cause for PRs. but also how we can work around them and use them to our advantage. So they sort of appear to be a nightmare at first, but actually there are things we can do to make them not be a nightmare. So in terms of PR, yeah, and I mean, for anyone that works in an agency, PR specifically, it's almost a bit of a downer when we work so hard and there's so many moving parts and you finally get a link in. And then that link is an affiliate link and it's kind of like, oh, it's really deflating. Like, why have we done all this work? Because we've got no control over the type of link that is added into any of the features. So yeah, the talk is centered around that. Like, what can we do with these links to have a more positive impact rather than just thinking, oh, well, this means nothing to us. So there's a lot of, it's very much a gray area as well with affiliate link. Like, there's tons of research, but it's very difficult to find an absolute definite answer on any of it. To the point where we even tried getting in touch with Google and they couldn't answer us. So,
So you mean like research around what
Yeah.
what impact they actually have from like an SEO point of view?
yeah, exactly that. So it's for a long time, it's very much been, well, I mean, affiliate marketing started in like the late 80s, early 90s. So it's been going a long, long time. But the studies and the research they have, they basically think that as soon as a link is turned into an affiliate link, it has absolutely no SEO value. It completely gets rid of it, which could be true. And I think a lot of the times it is true. But then there's also research on there still being a trace of SEO value depending on the amount of redirects the link has. So between the publication and your brand site, how many redirects does it have through the affiliate software that will track any of the spend on it and just basically monitor the data of it? So it's kind of a light at the end of the tunnel thing. There is hope from the SEO perspective. It's just very much, it's not really been proven and it's just a complete gray area.
Yeah. So let's do a couple more basics. So like, how can users tell if a link is an affiliate link?
Yes, cool. There's a few ways really. So the immediate way is the URL itself will change. So if you have, say you've just got a link on The Guardian, you click on the brand link when they've included your brand there. Once it goes onto the other page, you will see the URL just change. It will literally just say like affiliate in there, or sometimes it has a bit of a nod toward the name of the affiliate software that's been used as well. And you'll see like rather than your brand's homepage appearing, the whole URL will be completely different. So that's
Share
sort of the
sale. I
main-
feel like it's one that I've seen, at least in the US, a lot. Share sale, it's called.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a few sort of big sort of players within the affiliate agency and marketing space, and you will just see the name pop up. You can also have a look if you wanted to double check. You can sort of right click and go into the code of the page just to completely confirm it. And then there's tools like Ahrefs and other tools you can just sort of put them in and it'll help you out. But yeah, it's kind of, you realize you get the immediate disappointment basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, what can you do about this? Have you ever reached out to a journalist and asked them, hey, can you remove that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think we've emailed a journalist to change or add in a link many, many times. I think it's not so much a problem. I'm making it out that it's a really bad thing. Affiliate marketing is amazing and it makes a lot of money for brands. But it's just from a PR perspective, it's just making it more difficult for us to get the follow link that we want. So you can get in touch with the journalist. Obviously, a lot of publications will have policies now. These policies are kind of forever changing. I know there's a lot of nationals we outreach to that 1 week they completely won't add any link in whatsoever, just to be neutral to all brands and all parties involved. And then the next week you outreach to them and someone's put a follow link in for you, or a no follow, or an affiliate. So it is very much, in some circumstances, a lucky dip. But basically, there are two different options that I kind of go through on the talk with this. It's either you work through affiliate links and you find ways to work with them and sort of showcase the benefits to your brand. And if you get one on a publication, it's like, okay, great, we've still got a link on a good publication, we can still use this. Or the other option, if you want to completely avoid them, is how you work around them and how you avoid those publications and getting those, well, putting yourself at risk of a chance of getting the affiliate link in.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's break that down a little bit. So it sounds like you kind of view a affiliate link as like a no follow link, right? Would they kind of be on the same in terms of SEO value? Like they don't necessarily pass. I mean, that seems to be what your research has shown, right? Is they're essentially not passing any SEO value.
Yeah, that's kind of the front line of most research and most talking points, that it either has like
Yeah.
no SEO value whatsoever and Google just doesn't take it into account from an SEO perspective, or if it does have value, it's sort of a very kind of small trace of it that's not going to make much difference anyway. So yeah, it's between those two. Yeah.
Yeah. So then when it comes to, talking to a client or maybe stakeholder, if you're in-house, does the conversation then just become, this is a highly trafficked site, like we're still going to get direct traffic to our site via clicks?
Yeah, this is like a big part of the talk that I'm basically trying to, especially the internal C3 team as well, trying to get people to change the mindset on how they present them to the client. So obviously, if you have a digital client that is very much SEO focused, if this isn't increasing or helping our visibility and authority, it's no good to us, then affiliates are very much going to be a bit of a problem. You're going to have to find the ways of avoiding them. However, if you have a brand that's more open to them, it's how you report it. So if you get an affiliate link on a national publication, be a really high DA publication that gets hundreds of thousands of estimated coverage views, that's something I'd report on from that affiliate link. That means like the footfall and the clicks are all going to be in there. Yes, the link itself might not have amazing SEO value, but if people are reading this feature and then going onto your site and converting, it's still something you want to be talking about. You could look at the number of redirects. So as I mentioned, between the publication and your brand site, the fewer the better, because that means the less it's sort of weaved in and out. And it just basically means the fewer, the more trace of value supposedly that it will have. So you could maybe start reporting it's only had one redirect, which means it could contain some SEO value. There's also looking at traffic and sales. So if you have a client or your brand, the person that you speak to there is very heavily sort of, could be high up, could be a shareholder that's very focused on sales and sort of revenue and that kind of thing. If you can correlate a day or a week of sales increasing to a week that you've got these affiliate link on really good publication, you can say, well, we might not have the SEO value, but we've made your business money. Especially from an affiliate perspective, because a lot of affiliate features are very sales led. So it could be, for example, top 10 trainers of 2024. You got a link with your brand on that article. Perfect from a buyer's perspective, because you Google that, click on the affiliate link, go to the brand page and buy. So definitely having a look and seeing if you can speak with our team or use analytics to see if sales have improved. And then just little things like dream publication, like I said, it's morale within the team. So if you got an amazing link on one of your clients' dream publications, like The Guardian, but it's an affiliate, and then everyone instantly gets deflated and goes, oh, it doesn't really count for anything. I still think it should be celebrated that you've got your client on a publication that's sort of high of stature and really positions your brand of being, something important, like you're being featured on The Guardian. That's a place you want to be seen. That's something I'd start ticking off the list. Like, we're hitting these amazing publications where your target audience is. Another thing to report on. So yeah, just how you report it basically, and try and show the positive aspects. And then, like I said, it's very much, no, it's not adding SEO value, and that's the only mind. Then you start looking at the other approaches.
All right. So Will, when we get into kind of avoiding these affiliate situations, does that start in the content ideation stage?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's different starting points, I'd say. So ideation is a really good area, especially in PR. Obviously, all our ideas come through brainstorms and just working with other teams. But I think the best route to do is to work backward from the publication. So if your main aim is to completely avoid affiliates, remember any site on the internet can add a link. So when we start brainstorms, we normally just think, okay, what can we come up with that's going to get in national media? That's kind of like your tunnel vision instant. Okay, we've got a brand. Let's try and get them in the national. That's just how it seems to work to begin with. So it's about diversifying that area of it. So any site can add a link. Can you come up with something that can go on a government website or a council website? Or are there any brands that you're working with or collaborating with? They could host something on the site. So once you get this idea of we need to be placed on here because they're not going to add an affiliate link in, it's about looking at their site and seeing the type of content they're covering. And then you bring that back to your brainstorm and say, we need to create things around this. And why is our brand going to be valued to these sites? So you can kind of start from that side of it, but also just from if it's your own brand or if you're an agency and it's a client, first thing I'd say do is find out who they have affiliate programs with, because it might not just be publication. They might have certain brands. They might have certain local pages or regional pages that they have all of these affiliate ties with. If it's e-commerce, a lot of their stockists could even have some form of affiliate program. So once you get that list, you can kind of put that to one side and be like, right, we don't want any of these contacts within our media lists. And then you can specifically target the journalists that aren't very sales led. So anyone that's in sort of trends writers, shopping writers, consumer driven writers, they're all going to have the affiliate sort of mindset, the sales led mindset. So try and avoid them going down the lifestyle routes or the freelancer routes. That's always good. And then just ensuring that your content is as far away from sales as it possibly can be. So not as many product images or product explanations or kind of call to action messages in there like this is available to buy now from here. Anything that you give away to a journalist that sort of says we could sell this, we could link back this and maybe make sales from this, they're going to do it. So if you can avoid it within your content, 100% try. And then other sides, I guess, there's technical as well. So you could do link reclamation work. So if you have any partnerships or brands or, like I said, e-commerce, if you have lots of stockists, you can go to them and say, would you add a link back to our website for us? And then you could return something in their favor. So you could maybe do a social media post for them or add them into a newsletter just to say thank you. Just basically thinking when you're doing these ideation sessions, like where can we get links and how can we get links? There's going to not be an affiliate link, basically, because it's going to be places that we don't have any ties with. How do we target them? That's what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you hit a lot of great stuff there. So I want to kind of piece together some of this. So the one thing that stood out to me was like, yeah, I guess if a brand is going to come to you with a laundry list of people that we have affiliate like connections with, like, is that automatically kind of like a deal breaker sometimes? I mean, is that list a hindrance to the point where you be not even taking them on as a client sometimes?
No, not necessarily. No, I think because at C3, and I know a lot of agencies, they work with brands that most brands now have some form of affiliate connection. I think like one of the stats in my presentation actually was like, I think it's 84% of global businesses have or have used some form of affiliate program.
I think it was 94. I had that in my notes. I was going to ask you 94. Yeah.
Yes. So the chances are, if you're an agency, the majority, if not all of your clients are going to have some form of affiliate program set up. So it's never, you don't kind of look at it and think, oh, well, our outreach is going to be tight and we're never going to be able to get links. That's really not The approach, you look at the alternative ways around it. So whether that's
Yeah.
link rec, as I just mentioned, yeah, whether you have really sort of tailored ideation to specific pages, whether you're targeting sort of niche blogs and publications or just doing regional campaign, there's absolutely loads you can do. It's just you need to know the client and their brief and what you can realistically get out of it. But yeah, it's never a no. There's always a solution.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's super smart. It does seem like it's a challenge to brainstorm an idea that, like, say we're going that route versus the link reclamation or alternative kind of link building route. If you do want to brainstorm an idea, if a lot of the if the affiliate partners are kind of across uh, all the industries, right? So like in one case, you maybe could pivot into the tech industry or whatever, but maybe they have a few affiliates there. I guess what I'm getting at is where, how many, is there a number of affiliates that kind of start to um, make that outreach in that industry less effective, where you would just completely shut that out? Like you had said, um, focus on ones that aren't as salesy, but like I could still see like if they have an industry partnership in a tech site or on a whatever site, like no matter what, they're still going to try to monetize that. So yeah, I guess my question is like how do you strategically kind of validate or investigate these industries to the point where you're saying like that this is too many partnerships, so we're not going to do anything in there?
Yeah, no, it is a tough one. I think it's about the diversification of your backlink profile, which is not only something that obviously Google favors, but also something that you need to think about when, if you're approaching a brand or a new client, etc. How can we, look at areas that aren't just nationals whilst also targeting nationals? Like it's kind of a rock and a hard place, but there are solutions. I think one of the key things we do, especially at C3, is looking at different sectors within the site. So a good example of this would be a supermarket. The supermarket, obviously, if you're, say, e-commerce supermarket, there's tons of different areas of the site that you could base a campaign on, right? It could be food and drink. It could be like health and beauty, back to school products. Like there's tons of inspiration there. But then within those, so it's almost like a sector within a sector, you can find really sort of strong niches. So these niches, for example, could you do a vegan campaign or could you do a gluten-free campaign? Because I absolutely guarantee you will find a publication for each of these niches. So in terms of, if, like you mentioned, if you have a brand that's just got tons of affiliate programs and you've got to really negotiate and navigate through them, it's finding those little pockets that you can work with. And they are there. It's just, you have to do a bit of trial and error and a lot of research on the brand. But it is doable. And also it's back to what I said earlier as well. If a brand comes up to you and specifically says, we don't understand affiliate links, like we're not getting any SEO value from them, I think it's still important that you're outreaching to nationals. And even if you do get an affiliate link, it's how you explain it to them. As I mentioned, how you report it. So yeah, there's lots of ways around it. It is very much specified on the needs of the brand, I'd say.
Yeah. You mentioned this in the past few years, like the affiliate market, everybody's in affiliates these days, right? Um, I'm I'm curious if you've seen anything in the realm of, like with helpful content update recently, it has been hitting a lot of like review sites, right? And not necessarily large publications, but um, I'm curious if there are any projections or talk that you've seen that like necessarily would impact the affiliate one way or the other.
Honest answer, no. I think that's again, like I kind of said at the start of this chat, it's because it's such a grey area. the information that we're kind of given doesn't sort of give a yes or no to anything. So in terms of the new update, no, I've not really seen anything that kind of favors or doesn't favor affiliates. I mean, we know obviously as an industry, it's growing at a huge rate and it's one of the most successful channels for a lot of brands and businesses. In terms of an SEO and PR perspective, I haven't seen any updates to show differently to what we already know. Yeah, it is that kind of that grey area that, you know, is kind of almost hidden away and not many people know too much about it. So yeah, honest answer, nothing really from the new updates.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I haven't seen anything either. I think this is just such an interesting kind of hurdle that not a lot of brands or agencies and in-house, digital PRs kind of think of in the strategy portion, especially taking on bigger brands. Um, there's always, at least for me, there was always the like list of, hey, do not contact these people. But I don't know if we ever really brought that into like the content ideation and like strategy discussions where it's like, hey, if we can't contact, you know, 50 journalists in the whatever tech space or something, like, does that mean we just shouldn't do this piece at all and, pivot into something else? And I think the last question I wanted to ask along those lines of content ideation is there are, because you mentioned content relevancy, right? Like earlier on. And I do think that could be a potential challenge for some people is like, if you are working with a brand that has a lot of affiliate partnerships, and they do kind of limit the areas that you can create content in, does that mean then like you're creating content that's not necessarily relevant to the brand? Like, do you find that as a challenge, and how would people get around that? How should they think about getting around that?
Yeah, again, it's the whole kind of tightening your outreach potential. I think that is at the minute working in agency, one of the things that a lot of my team kind of have the problem with, like you said, like, oh, we can't outreach to these guys, we can't do this. But yeah, it's two things. I think my first point on that would be, just because you're working outside of those publications doesn't mean it isn't relevant to your brand. I think you have to look as in depth as possible about what you are, whether it's a service or an actual product, all the different areas of the site that you can link back to, which is going to generate ideas for campaigns. So, for example, if you're an insurance company, can you look at the travel side of it? Can you look at the health side of it? Car insurers, like look at every aspect of your site and try and find the niches within that. If you are sort of a little smaller than that and you do one sole purpose, is having a look at almost like word association game, like what subjects can strand away from your brand? How can we still link back to your brand and still have relevancy? So it's thinking about those campaigns that have some form of tie-in with it.
Mm.
So I think, yeah, really sort of digging into the details, having a look at what competitors are doing in the space, have a look at what similar brands have done. Try and put yourself in a position where you're not kind of, oh, we can't do anything here. We just need to diversify our outreach. And then, like I said, there is also a great route is also the technical side of it, the technical link building, anything from B2B to technical link rec and repairing broken backlinks and talking to stockists to add a link in. Like there's always something you can be doing. So it's about, yeah, really exploring that side of it.
Yeah. And then I know I said that was the last question, but this I still want to ask one more because it's you mentioned your team like is having trouble thinking about this. And I remember my team in the same way. Do you think it's more so this idea of just like um this, I don't want to say like infatuation, but or maybe I should say focus on getting as many links as possible, right? So it it's that's like always the goal for these. Like you want to be able to say like, oh, look at all this great coverage I got. I got 100 links or whatever. But at the end of the day, like if that's not what you can do, it seems like the challenge really is kind of shifting that mindset and maybe talking to the client or the stakeholders about this, that like, hey, because of these limitations, we have to kind of shift what our expectations are. We're not going to be able to get you 100 links. We're going to be able to get, whatever, 15, 10, 20, like really hyper focused in these kind of spaces that we can find, but these gaps what we can find, but we're not necessarily out there to create like a viral campaign. Or if we are, we're running the risk of just getting a lot of affiliate links. Does that kind of sound like what you're running into?
Yeah, I mean, we're quite lucky at the minute that we are in a position where quality is very much favored over quantity right now from an SEO perspective. So Google prefers high DA relevant links. If you got, say, 10 in a month that were really good for user experience, as in you go on the feature, click straight through, make a purchase, the subject is relevant to the brand, and you got 10 of them on high DA site, that's probably going to do more for you than getting 100, say, small regional links across the country. So you can kind of build yourself a bit of a case straight away. And obviously every brand or client is different. It completely depends what they need. Like, do they need to really diversify their backlink profile? Like, are they a startup company that just need as many links as they possibly can? In the US, it might be, for example, it's the number. So how can we get 500 links in the next 6 months to really push the authority online? Or it could be really tailored. We just want to get some high DA publications covered, just to nudge us close to competitors and their visibility. So it completely depends on the brand every time. But I think you can, like I say, build a case that, look, we don't have to fight to get 100 links. So if we get a few affiliate links, that's okay. Because it's still, as long as we still get the X amount of links that are really going to help develop our online position, then it's still going to be okay. So yeah, it has changed in a good way for us, especially for KPIs and things. Like a few years ago, it used to be we want 200 links for this price, and people used to buy links back in the day and stuff. Now it's it's a lot harder to get a link because it's the quality of it, but it's a lot more sort of rewarding when you do.
Yeah, I think that's a great message to end on here. Will, where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, the usual. Yeah, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm just going to throw in a shameless plug here, but anything C3 related is genuinely really good. Lots of tips and vlogs and advice and support and things like that. So they're always good to follow. And then in the UK, just events and talks. Obviously, it was just at Brighton. C3's got his up north event in Manchester coming up. And then podcasts like as well.